Anyway, it is time to go for the next question. Of course, once when we start the discussion about regulations, it's always like a small topic, but a big topic because each one of us sometimes read in a different way. The next question is about to Mr. Vinay Nagdio, sir. I don't know whether you can speak now. We will make a small test. Oh, we are unable to hear you, sir. We are unable to hear you, but not an issue. We have the question is about regulation 30, 31, 33, and 40 testing part. So, for low voltage consumer premise, how these tests are practically carried out and by whom? The simple question is regulation 30 and 33. 30 talking about the repetitive test, and then 33 is talking about the insulation resistance test. 40 is talking about the retesting of after reconnection again you have to do the retesting of insulation resistance, and all the three are by the supplier. The question is whether the supplier is following it or not. To Apavu, sir.
Yes. Coming to the regulation 30, it's applicable, it fixes the periodicity for inspection by the competent electrical safety engineer or electrical inspector according to the notified voltage of the state government. But the state, it will become viable only after the finalization of safety auditor. Since the safety auditor provision was brought in by the regulation in 2015, after which there were long delay in the state government by certifying the safety auditors. Actually, we can see that more than 40% of the accidents do occur in NK premises. So that's why CEA has addressed this issue and tried to answer it through the provision of electrical safety auditors. We could do it in a still better way that analogous to Bureau of Energy Efficiency, it has created a very good strength of energy auditors through examinations. And similar to that, we have to do something so that we can create a lot of technical manpower to look into this omitted area, that is LT and ME installations. Regarding regulation 31, it insists testing by the supplier. Actually, supplier and electrical inspector must depend upon the manufacturer or testing personnel for certification. Such a facility should have NABL accreditation for the authenticity of test and certification. So, as of now, what we are doing is the completion report we are insisting, and the minimum test prescribed by IS 732 is in letter. I don't know whether the spirit is really there, or it should be in letter and spirit. Then only the testing part would safeguard on insulation, and above all, such a report should be obtained from the licensed contractor while effecting supply by the DISCOM, that is a supplier. But in most of the places, such an insistence of obtaining test certificate and verifying it is very tough. It's a very tough job because of population of LT consumers day by day. It's getting populated. So unless we have some parallel testing wing, apart from contractors, the sanctity of the contractors report are also well known to us. In LT installations, it could be totally neglected. So this is the real concern. And regulation 33 address the leakage before connection. Actually, it may be replaced by check test by supplier or EA. We can't have a visit on any installation and to check the leakage before connection. It can be a check test whether the contractor or the testing personnel have done the right job. and a leakage insulation test alone can't certify an installation free from danger. So the design itself has been looked down by the inspectorate, and the contractors are licensed. We hope that they ensure proper coordination. After that, the safety certificate is issued. But when coming into the subject of high voltage test and other things, we have to really depend upon the manufacturer. So leakage, ascertaining leakage before connection is a tough job unless there is a strong binding between the manufacturer, supplier, and the inspector. And another thing with regard to regulation 40, it insists test for reconnecting a disconnected installation before reconnection or addition and alterations. Because LT installation, it is very tough to follow and it is not feasible for the supplier unless the owner does it through the licensed contractor. So practically comparing, seeing the volume of work involved in every section. In every section, office of supplier will be having several thousands of consumers. So the periodicity of inspection as well as the pre-commissioning test should be entirely made as a separate entity. And I hope that something like a pollution control test for two-wheelers or four-wheelers, appointing some other people, there should be some norms or agencies, of course, accredited in addition to the contractor. After all, above all, the supplier should insist the completion report in true state and check whether they have done it. That can be done randomly. While affecting supply, only the lineman will be there. We don't think that all the intricate purposes are looked into by the lineman or the foreman. So this should be applied and rethink whether what are the things that we have to provide additionally to safeguard and installation free from danger, whether it is leakage or periodical inspection.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. See, our with our program campaign is mainly we are focusing on the low voltage safety of low voltage installation. We have Mr. Devdas also had raised the hand. Before that, I would like to make one small comment and then come back to you, Goswamiji. My comment is. Before COVID, nobody thought that all the world didn't thought that India will be able to handle this many people, the medicines and other things. But we successfully did that. Now, with respect to electrical safety, of course, the regulation is very clear. Low voltage consumer premise, the energy supply company is supposed to do the testing initially, then frequently, then after during reconnection also the insulation, at least the base minimum test is mandatory, but most of the places this is not carried out very well because of the manpower shortage, or there is who will do it, and there is no clear instruction from the government. As a result, the state governments are responsible for most of the accidents in the consumer premise. So this is a simple conclusion in my view. So let me go back to Mr. Devdas ji. We have to actually hurry up a little bit. You have to unmute yourself, please. You have to unmute.
Yeah. Thank you, Gopal. As you rightly pointed out, these are very important clauses, all the clauses that we have mentioned it. Now, very quickly, I would like to go through it. You see, clause 30, there are two aspects of it. One is how we are going to interpret the existing regulation, and another is what regulation should have or what amendments should be made in the regulation. So first part is that what is there in the regulation. In the clause 30, all these notified voltage issues are there. So it is to be self-certified for the low voltage side, self-certified by the owner. Now, there is utter confusion there. Now, in clause 30 is like that. Go to the clause 31, it says it is not just self-certification, but it is to be duly signed by the electrical contractor. So self-certification through endorsement by electrical contractor. Now we have another provision which has been added, the Chartered Electrical Safety Engineer, which probably Apau was telling. Now, Chartered Electrical Engineer does not have any role defined in all these tests or any self-certification issues. Only in the definition, Chartered Electrical Engineer was that is not good enough until unless in all these clauses we ask them to do or authorize them to do something. Then second, another part is that about testing, as Gopal Kumarji was saying, that it is the supplier's responsibility to carry out the test like earth leakage, the leakage test, and also about the insulation resistance test before connecting it. So the supplier, we have to make supplier responsible to carry out this test or verification of the installation before he connects it. But that we are not implementing it. We have to make an enforcement clause making it mandatory for the supply company to do it. Then only our whole system will work. As you have rightly said, in the COVID, we have managed it with so much of population. Why not? This is a very serious issue as far as our safety is concerned. So there should be some verification regime. One of the options, of course, is the supplier should be made responsible. Another option could be a third-party verification system. So that's all my limited comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Rathordar, I have raised you the hand. Anything to add?
Sir, I thank you, Gokumar Sahab. I definitely agreed with the Devasi Sahab. But so far as the Chartered Electrical Safety Office engineers, the guidelines is issued by our CA. What should be the qualification? What should be the testing equipment with them? At least that much testing equipment has to be there with the Chartered Electrical Safety Engineer. Our ex-CIG Tamil Nadu already told that because of the loading, the periodicity of the testing may not be possible. But it is not like that. If this Chartered Electrical Safety Officer, the licensed electrical contractors are there, like our COVID control, it can be done. There is no any. But only thing is that during this transition period, it may be having some burden. But after all, it will do, sir. So that is the only concern. And so far as the Chartered Electrical Safety Officer, we have clear cut issued the guideline. What should be the qualification? Who will be the chartered engineer, and what equipment has to be there with the Chartered Electrical Safety Engineer, sir. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Actually, the regulation is very clear. The Chartered Electrical Safety Engineer and what kind of things he has to handle. Those things are correct, but the only point here is the implementation part. But before implementation, we should understand that these regulations 30, 31 and this 33 and 40, these were existing since several decades. So several decades these are there. It is the responsibility of the electricity supply company to do it. And if the supply company is not doing, of course, as a consumer, if there is an accident in my house, I would say the supply company is responsible because they are not doing any retesting.